So today we are going to have a look at 1.1, investigating the context with a focus on mood boards. So by now you should have done your 3 mind maps looking at the potential problems and solutions around the context you were given. You will hopefully also have done your focus mind map where you have chosen your context and looked at some of those problems you found earlier in a little bit more detail. Now, I just want to say before I get started that this entire presentation is based on a context from a few years ago. So don't try and use any of the images or the annotations or the writing or anything like that because it won't fit for your context. Now, the context I've chosen is smarter living, and after mind maps, I have decided to focus down on artists and the potential problems that they might encounter. So, when making a mood board, you need to make sure that you are applying problems and not products to your page. So the purpose of your NEA is to produce a solution to an existing problem, not to find things that already exist. So your mood board needs to reflect the mind maps that you've made. Look at the context you have chosen, and if you've completed it, your focus mind map, and start to pick out the issues you find interesting and that have real scope for solving. So you are depicting your mind maps in a visual way here. From there, you need to build up a bank of images that represent the issues that you have picked out. Now, I would say, and I'm going to say, that you need to find a minimum of 30 images to really fully explore the context and the problem. Any less than that, and you kind of risk not having enough information, not finding enough problems, not fully exploring the scope, and that would lead to lower marks at the end. You can, of course, do more than that, but what I want you to do is to make sure that the images you're finding are purposeful. It's great to have lots and lots and lots of images, but if you're just repeating the same picture over and over and over again in a different way, then there is no point having them. So make sure that the pictures you find are varied and they are purposeful. So I'm just going to go through how I have decided to put this together and the reasons that I have chosen the images I have and the annotation that I have with you very quickly. So I've started out by picking one of the problems that I found, and I found a variety of images surrounding this. So you can see that I've got art shops, I've got pencil cases, office spaces, I've got messy rooms and just an absolute mess. And then I added a little bit of annotation that says many different types of equipment mean that art spaces can be very messy and disorganised. It's short, but it describes what has been shown in those pictures. I've then gone on to find another problem and picked a variety of images for that. And you can see from these images, I have so many different things. So I've got a picture of somebody stressed. I've got a picture of somebody working from home, somebody working in a small space, somebody having too many products to carry around, hot desking, lots and lots of different things that are connected, but separate problems by themselves. I keep going and there'll be lots and lots of different problems I explore, but also having a look at possible stakeholders and primary users. Now, as your primary users and your stakeholders drive forward your design for everything, it seems to be a really good idea to get those onto your mood board as well. So you'll be getting feedback from your primary users. You'll be finding out what they like, what they don't like, and making changes to your future product. So they are so important and they need to go on here. Now, as you can see, I've shown a variety of different users from OAPs, I've got disabled users, this man in the middle is going hiking, professionals, students, a variety of people that might have a variety of needs. And from what we spoke about earlier with your mind maps, looking at the cultural issues, the moral issues, the ethical issues, the social issues, environmental issues, all of these come from your possible stakeholders and primary users. So getting them in there is so important. Going forwards, obviously, you see I've got more problems. I have travel. I have environmental issues from this one, a really big problem right now. I have issues with certain materials that are used, problems that might be faced. And yes, I do have a few products, but the reason I have those on there is because I think that they are poor examples of a solution to one of the problems that I found, which was multimedia storage. And finally, make sure you fill up all your white space. If you have lots and lots of white space, it makes it look like you haven't finished a page. So filling it up with lots of images is going to make sure that you look like you've done the most work you possibly can. So once you've done all your images and all your little bits of annotation, another thing that you could start to add in is audio clips. Now, what audio clips allow you to do is explore your annotation and your images in just a little bit more detail and giving you a chance to talk about some of those social, cultural, ethical issues that you might want to look at. So I'm just going to play one of my clips for you, and then I'll talk a little bit more about why they're important. Sustainability and environmental factors are a huge consideration right now across everything we do, and in particular with design. Art can be a huge culprit for the disposal of things that cannot be recycled, with things such as empty canisters, artwork with paint on it that means we can't recycle it as easily, through to the materials used to store products and for use when we're painting, such as plastic paint palettes. This could be a really good issue to look into for lots of those reasons. Now, as you can see from that little voice clip has allowed me to discuss those images in a lot more detail and being able to talk about the sustainability issues that come forward from this. Now, it might not be clear what all of your pictures are, but being able to give them that context, being able to describe that, will make sure that any examiner or any marker knows exactly what you are talking about. They don't have to be as long as mine. They can be 5 seconds, 10 seconds, whatever you want, as long as they aren't just repeating what you have written. The last thing that you need to do on this page, once you've got all your pictures and images and annotations and audio clips done, is your next steps. Now, if you look in the bottom right corner, you can see that I have pasted in the instructions that are in your NEA blank pages right now. So, describe what you've done on this page. Why has it been useful? How does it help you to move on from this point? And what are your next steps going to be? It's a short couple of sentences, but a hugely important short couple of sentences. Your next steps form part of your marks. They show that you're thinking chronologically, they show that you are following your project through from start to finish, and they show that you are thinking about the work that you have just done and how it informs the next step of your work. So you really do need to make sure that these are done. And as you can see now, I've added in just a couple of sentences to describe what I've done on this page. So through this mood board, I have been able to identify key aspects that should be considered when designing a product for smarter living for artists. In addition, looking at the possible issues section has provided me with an insight of how I could prevent these issues from coming about in a product. My next steps will be to narrow down the problems and create a design brief. I have talked about what I've done. I've talked about what I've looked at and in a little way what I found out about with the problems and how I could solve them. And then I've said what I'm going to do next. It's short, it's to the point, but it helps inform and it is important. Make sure you do these when you've finished each page. If you do them then, it takes you 2 minutes. If you do them at the end because you've forgotten to do them all because you didn't think they were important, it is going to take you a lot longer. So make sure you get those done as soon as you are finished.